Welcome to Section 5, Dynamics 365 Virtual Agent for Customer Service. We briefly spoke about the virtual agent in our previous section, where we saw how the virtual agent for customer service works alongside customer service insights to help organizations transform their customer service operation. In this video, we'll get to know more about the virtual agent, and we'll also see what topics we'll be covering in this section. In this section, what you will learn will include understanding how the Dynamics virtual agent can improve customer service and reduce development time, an opportunity to set up and test your own bot, see how you can use the virtual agent canvas to design conversation flows, see how you can extend the capabilities of your bot by integrating with Microsoft Flow. You'll see how to deploy your bot, and also, really importantly, how you can improve bot performance with virtual agent analytics. The virtual agent for customer service is a very new offering, a new addition to the Dynamics 365 AI suite of business applications. It's very closely associated with customer service insights, but it is its own standalone offering. And the type of capabilities that we'll see that are possible through the virtual agent include the ability to be able to intelligently route customers to the right service, whether that's a real agent, a real person, or whether it might be another virtual agent. There's a lot of opportunity to improve customer satisfaction, in particular by reducing the time to resolution. And of course, for businesses, the ability to lower operating costs and increase their ability to scale. The target users for the virtual agent, first of all, it's going to take a lot of pressure off development teams. And because so much of it is code-free, it's really going to reduce the latency that new requirements can appear and they can be introduced back into live operations. Likewise, for customer service teams, it's going to empower them to easily create their own bots using this guided no-code graphical interface, and it's going to reduce their reliance on IT. From a customer service manager point of view, we'll see that it's also really going to help customer service managers manage their customer service operations and to be able to make continuous improvements and see what's happening with their customers and their users. In terms of setting up the virtual agent, again, with very similar steps, Microsoft has provided a really useful home site with related information, and we can come through to its own unique website. We can also access it from within Customer Service Insights. Again, there's no strict dependency on Dynamics 365 that we'll need to set up. But let's go ahead and create our first virtual agent. So here we are on the sales page for Dynamics 365 Virtual Agent for Customer Service. We can see the warning here that it's in preview, and we can have a really good quick overview of its key capabilities. So some really useful information here. We'd expect that once it becomes generally available, the pricing information will also be here, and we can try the preview from this side. The other location we can not only access our virtual agent, but also access the preview is from within Customer Service Insights environment. Quick note that I changed over to my Contoso environment. And if we select Virtual Agent, we've got some really useful information here, which is good. You can also try the preview. I wanted to put in my credentials. Okay, and it's identified my user account. And quite similar to before, we can just go ahead and we can create our first virtual agent instance. So almost exactly the same as when we set up our Customer Service Insights environment. The difference here, we've been routed to va.ai. And the first thing we're prompted with is to give bot a name. So I'm going to call mine bot. And I'm linking it with my Contoso organization. And I'm going to select Create. So I'm going to let that set up. So next we've been given a message that we can start exploring our virtual agent while our bot, which we have created, is provisioned. So I'm going to select Explore Bot. And this brings us into the home page. Okay, and let's actually finish deploying in the meantime. So let's have a look at what we can find here in our virtual agent app. We're currently on the home screen, and on the left-hand side here, we can see the test bot interface, which will be our mechanism for interacting with our virtual agent while we build and we test it. And it's going to be incredibly useful. And you'll also see in the coming videos, it's incredibly intuitive as well. Here on the homepage, we've got some links to some useful information, author topics. I'm going to cover that in the next 2 videos, some steps on how to deploy your bot, which we will also cover, and how we can monitor performance, which will be our last video of this section. So it's really set up to help coach and educate people that will be using this application, particularly those that may not be so technical, which is one of the real benefits of the virtual agent. What we can also find are topics. Now, in the previous videos we saw with customer service insights, topics were something that was created by the AI, which was grouping similar types of cases so that we could spot trends. Now, you just need to be aware that in terms of the virtual agent, topics have a different definition. In this context, a topic is something which we will define as the consultant, and it's a way that we can create paths which will logically guide conversations based on phrases. So here we've got store hours, which is one of the main sample topics which we can interact with to get a feel for how the virtual agent will respond. And you can see here we've got all of these trigger phrases. So when someone's come in and is engaging with the virtual assistant, if they ask any of these questions or similar questions, that is going to invoke the pathway through this particular topic. And how that will look in the virtual agent canvas will be this guided visual interface. So if a trigger phrase happens or something similar, and there's a lot of AI and natural language processing, and what we're going to see is the person will not have to ask exactly the question in exactly the format. The AI is actually quite smart. That will invoke this pathway, and we can see here the interactions. There'll be responses available to the user, and depending on the response, that will guide through a pathway. So that's how we can define topics. Analytics we'll see in the last video, which we can look at how the bots are performing, what the engagement level is, and it's going to give us some really useful insights into how our bots are performing and our ability to deploy a bot. But let's wrap up this video with a very quick test of the store hours conversation. So through the test bot interface, we can turn on tracing. Okay, and I'm going to say hello. Okay, and once we have tracing turned on, that's going to show us which pathway and which topic has been invoked with the initial conversation. And here we have the greeting from the virtual agent. Now I've asked a question about opening hours, and we can see here that the pathway has invoked the store hours topic, and the user responses, whenever we enumerate the responses, that creates options that the user, the person who's talking to the virtual agent, can click on. So let's go with Seattle. Okay, and that's taken us down this pathway. All right, and then it's taken us to the end of the conversation. So I'm going to say yes. And now we've come to the end of conversation. So here we've got the ability to say how our experience was, and we can continue to talk to the virtual agent. And this has captured something which we can capture as our CSAT score. So that's the introduction to our virtual agent. In the next video, we're going to see how we can create our own topic and start to customize our very own virtual agent.